Next week, ETSU will be hosting Founders Week. It is an annual event that commemorates the founding of the school back in October of 1911. The university will mark the occasion with several events throughout the week. Fred Sauceman is one of the featured speakers. He joins us now with more. Fred, good to see you.
Good morning, Chris.
Let's start first of all. I want to commend ETSU for all of the things that they're doing during flood recovery here. There's several things going on.
Well, thank you. The university wants to compliment WJHL for not only informing this region, but for uplifting this region as well. And I agree. What ETSU has done has been nothing short of amazing. As you know, I do news every morning on public radio. This morning I get two different emails, one from the Salvation Army saying Sodexo, ETSU's dining partner, has donated 800 meals to the Salvation Army. That's followed up by another email from the university that says we're offering disaster recovery volunteer training on Friday at 3 o'clock in the Culp Center. So you talked about the blood drives, you talked about the things that are being brought to the university. All this is part of our mission to improve the quality of life in this region. And you have never seen, I think, our mission more in action as you have these past 4 or 5 days.
You know, educating students, but also teaching those students that this is where we live, this is how we help, this is what we do.
That's right. And Founders Week really builds on that. Founders Week is not a party. It's not a festival. It's a way to honor our past. And the people who have made that mission happen, going all the way back to Sidney Gilbreth. And of course, Burgin, Dossett, our third president, is one of them. If he were alive today, he'd be over there in the Culp Center right now, handing out buckets, handing out hygiene kits, I guarantee you.
And you can say that. You knew President Dossett.
I did. He was the earliest president that I knew personally. And I've spent a good bit of the summer communing with his spirit, and I really could not have had a better companion. He was a fascinating person. His resume was incredible. He mined coal. When he was in college at UT. He worked for Social Security. He worked for the WPA, one of Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal agencies that was responsible, by the way, for building the amphitheater on the campus in 1935, long before Dossett came there. He was one of the most successful commissioners of education this state has ever seen from 1945 to 1948. And then he got the job at ETSU in 1949 and almost immediately started transforming it into a modern university.
Instead of ETSC, it became ETSU.
He wanted
under
to do
his
that.
tutelage.
That's right. Now, interestingly, he's trying to do this from 1949 on. It gets to the point in the late 50s, early 60s where he's ready. But the governor of Tennessee opposed it, a man named Buford Ellington, who was very closely tied to the University of Tennessee. So Ellington opposes university status, and in 1962, November, a man named Frank Clement is elected governor, and Frank Clement was always a good friend of this school. He takes office in January of 1963, and there's a clear path to university status several months later.
Also during that time, there was beginnings of the thoughts and the talks about a medical school at ETSU.
Yes, I found a document from 1961 in which Dossett talks about the possible need for a new state-supported medical school. So certainly that idea originated during his tenure as well.
And I love the fact that you say, right now, if he were here, and everything was going on, he would be pitching in and he would be right out there getting his hands dirty and helping out.
He was great at what we call management by walking around. He would get up every morning. He lived on the campus. His house was about where the cave is now in the Culp Center. He would get up every morning and stroll to the post office and talk to people. Now, if he were here today in the Culp Center, he'd be handing out those things. He'd also be saying, how are you? How is your family?
Checking on people.
You know, knowing students' parents and grandparents and first cousins and where they went to school. He knew all that. He had a brilliant mind.
Fred, we appreciate you stopping by. Some great, we could be here all day.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks a lot. We'll give you some information. Presidential lecture with Fred Sauceman here, The Life and Times of Burgin E. Dossett, Tuesday, October the 8th at 6:30 p.m. right down the street here at the ETSU Martin Center for the Arts.